everyone, the name's Crafty, and today this is my first ever speed painting of pretty much a man with rectangles and floating squares coming out with a beard and red hair. And so at the very beginning I'm just sketching out the whole how I want this to look, just roughly sketching stuff out, like the body, the arms, the torso, the eye sockets, the nose, the eyebrows, and just constantly planning things out. And there was times that I rechecked some references of the male anatomy just to make sure, because at the end of the day I'm not the greatest artist in the world and I'm still learning about the anatomy and just overall just trying to learn as I go along. And then drew the mustache, flipped the canvas to check if anything is wrong with it. It basically gives you a fresh view of the whole image. And by the way, I'm not a bloody expert, I'm just a 21-year-old woman who just likes to draw a lot. Anyway, so back to this illustration I'm trying to create. Drawing out the fingers, just constantly drawing even more bloody lines, but it's just my thinking process of how to create this. So yeah, just drawing things out, and then I started drawing out the hair, like kind of spiky-ish but sort of fluffy. I don't know about what to say. I don't know what I'm talking about or what the hell I'm doing half the time. And then started drawing out the beard, erase the chin part, and then just constantly drawing in of what I think needs to be there, so I can. It kind of helps with the whole colouring process later on in the video. And then drawing up wrinkles, doing the baggy eyes, doing the eyes, and then a pause, and then we go back in with the eyebrows racing in and just draw more lines on top. And then flipping the canvas, use the lasso tool. I'm very new to digital, so I try my best to improve as time goes on. And erase some bit of the hair, drew a bit of the hairlines there and there. And a pause, and then just constantly flipping and drawing, and use the lasso to tilt the eyes a bit to make sure they look correct-ish. And then drawing out the lines, more lines, and the half body, torso, whatever. And just constantly planning, constantly drawing more lines of the rough sketch over and over and over. And this is a part I added an extra layer of when I'm just doing like line art-ish and basically cleaner lines and details, and I added rectangle parts, and then I just started drawing out the hair bits of the beard, the mustache and the hair. And I just lowered the opacity of the rough sketch so I don't get overwhelmed and like confused when I do the cleaner line and detailed sketch on top of the rough sketch. Just drawing out the whole face as well, cleanly, and doing the eyebrows, doing the nose, and just checking now and again to see if the line's clean enough. Clean my ass. And just constantly working and adding more details. Like I just did the wrinkles, and I basically drew out the whole arms and the hands, basically drawing the outline for the body, and then erasing, and then drawing the lines that I want to keep, and then obviously don't draw on the lines that are just not right. And then just drawing the background and just planning out as I go along, adding the shapes and how I want this whole background to look and the whole image. And I drew in these abs, probably badly. Maybe the whole image is bad. Maybe the art is okay, and hopefully the video is like good enough. Actually no, it's gonna be okay. And then just constantly drawing it, and then I start colouring the face. I don't know why I picked this colour, looks for sure. It's just me doing this blue colour. I don't know what the hell I was bloody thinking for doing this. and then just blending, and eventually I go to this grey colour that is much better than this blue shit on his face. So yeah, just constantly working back and forth. My mom just walked into the room. I'm back. My mom, like I just said, my mom just walked into the room to check. Yeah, she heard me from downstairs. She was like, "What are you using downstairs? Just warm," but yeah. Oh boy. So let's skip where I'm lost. Help. And then I start painting in the hair parts in red. I should have gone with the mid-tone, like I said, and then I start colouring something that's growing out of his head and beard. I don't know. I just like to put shapes into things. And then just constantly working on the facial hair and the hair part as well by painting in the hair, and then I tried to do this highlight thing, but the pinkish red didn't work, so I went for more of the orange colour and kept doing the same thing for every hair strand. And then I did some sort of shading, colouring to act like it's behind some hair, just to add more definition really, nothing too exciting. Just constantly working there and there, and I did blues for the shading on the purple, and then just added a bit of blues. I did paint the rectangles to change the colours around a little bit, and then I airbrushed the darker grey and blues, and then started painting the skin again. I tried out this texture brush and it's quite nice to look at. I actually like the texture brush, I just need to practice more often really. And then I started painting in the eyes. Oh my life. Zooming in those soul crushing eyes. And then just constantly working just basic lines and shapes for the irises and all that malarkey. Start painting in the nose and the wrinkles, and I started to look at the whole image, see what needs working on, and then I just started painting the eyebrows, and then started painting the skin even more. I really like the textured brushes. I just need to practice how to use it properly because I'm such a newbie when it comes to digital. So yeah, or just not good enough. And then just keep working on the skin. And then I was so proud of the nose I painted. It was such a good painted nose. And maybe that's the most thing I was proud of. Anyway, so constantly, by the way, if I'm awkward, I apologize. Anyway, so constantly working on the whole face, and then do shading and stuff like that. And then I decided to repaint eyes. Oh my god, that's so freaking creepy. I apologize for that. I was like, what was wrong with the whole image? So I thought repainting the eyes and painting the irises and stuff like that, it looks slightly better, but it's still staring into my soul. And then I started using the darker brown reddish color for act like a shadow for the hair bits. So I pretty much kept doing this thing into the hair, and then just detailed for the hair and just colouring it in with the cool greys. And then trying out different brushes as I go along to do the face, just experimenting. So with the whole this part, I used the lasso tool to move the hair out because I thought the forehead was a bit too short, so I used the lasso tool to move up the hair and repainted the forehead. I will smooth everything out later on, and then just continuously working on the face. And then I did the lip part and the chin. Back then I should have really did more work to the chin really, because it looks kind of weird and flat, to be honest. And then kept working on the face, and started blending things out, and then just now I started blending. It looks kind of weird still because it kind of the hair parts is still floating. And then use this dark purpley plum colour as the shadow, just working there and there, just to add more interesting colours than just red or brown as the darker bits. And then I used this red, which actually helped make it all pop more. So the whole idea to this illustration was the contrast between, obviously, with the red and blues, basically, like the warmth of the red hair, and then everything else is pretty much cool coloured. And now we're back to the skin, just repainting, and the skin is basically in cool greys and then a bit of bluish greys, and just constantly working on the body. It's not the best male body I made back then. I just need to practice more often with the anatomy, and I will be the one to admit that. Just constantly working greys, darkest greys, blue greys, and I went back on the eyes, added white highlights on the eyes just to make them pop, and then just constantly working on the face. And weird pause and a good jump cut to when I did more things to the body, added more details basically, adding more textures of skin basically. So now we zoom in to the beard and just doing dark plummy colours, the reds, just adding more details and just make sure everything is tightened up and make things look a bit cleaner. Well, I'm not sure if you call the whole picture clean. And just constantly working with the whole strands basically, like on the beard, the mustache. I did work on the mustache, and I did do the hair as well. So yeah, just constantly working on, just make sure constantly render, keep working on things, and make sure I work back and forth between the face, the hair, and the skin, so I'm constantly working and get a fresh eye view to everything. And this is the part where the painting is starting to come out more, it's starting to look good, quote unquote. But yeah, I was happy when I did this painting. It does look pretty good after the red and just constantly working on, and I did add extra hair strands because it needed more hair, I thought. And then I added more shading and details and colours to the eyebrows. And there's another weird jump cut when I did the basic colours for the background and the front, like the foreground, and just constantly work with that. And then I added the floating square and cube things on the hair parts and the beard, basically a bit of pink, pinky type of colour, and like a very bright blue turquoise, basically neon colours. I don't know what to call this image, what you guys call it, because I have no idea what to call the stuff I draw or paint sometimes. So constantly doing that. I drew a bunch of squares there and there. Eventually I do erase some because where near the cheek is a bit too much. I do eventually erase it, and just painting in the squares for the front of him basically. And just for the sake of it, I decided to, for the sake of it, of adding this purple onto the squares, the pink ones, and then I eventually erase, and it looks better without them because the whole focus really is the dude that's in the middle of the image. And I decided to add this pink colour, looks pretty nice I thought, so I added a bit there, and just constantly adding more squares. Try not to do too many squares, otherwise it'll just look too much of it. And then airbrush the background once again, make sure I airspray everything, and then adding details to the orange, and just constantly working back and forth with the darky plum, purple, the reds, and the oranges. And I wanted the background to be darkish bluish grey colour, so that's what I went with. Because the whole concept is the cool colours with the contrast only of the warmth, which is basically the hair and the beard. And then I decided to do the same thing that I did with the pinky cubes with the dark purple as the shading, just to add extra colour, so I went with the darker blue colour for the bluey cubes thing. So then I continue on painting the background, just adding more dark bluish turquoisey colours, and just constantly working. And I decided to airbrush. I don't know why I bothered doing that. I didn't know what I was bloody thinking at the time, but here we are. Just constantly, I don't know, I'm brain dead sometimes. And then I added this outline of like basically like a neon highlight thing or lights or whatever coming from the back. I don't know. And then I added more squares in there, and I tried out this paint tool. I like the texture, so I kept going with it for a little bit. Yeah, so did that with a couple of shapes there, and again constantly using the gradient stuff and just constantly working onto the background. And then just constantly do the same thing and do the cube using the dark color, brightest color, smut using the blend tool. And I liked how I did that shape a bit there, so I did a shadow like that all the way up to the gradient, all the way up to the brightest, and highlighted the lightest blue color, and then just did that with the whole shape thing. Sorry, so I'm slightly anxious doing this, but I thought to finally show this to you guys and actually tell me what I can actually improve on, sort of thing. This is an old painting that I did back in January, and I will make other stuff along the way. Just me constantly practicing, and I hope you guys give me some advice. And then just zoomed all the way out to check all the whole painting, and just painting some parts in, shadows, and then I started doing the foreground as well, just basic shapes there and there with different blues and magenta, purpley, whatever, some pinks there and there, and constantly working the shadows. And I did the shadow part, try not to do too much, just basically very subtle just very subtle, and just constantly working and looking the whole image. And I started doing the squares on the eyebrows. Woo! It looks kind of cool, just remembering not to do too much work. And this is the part where I forgot to pause the freaking recording. I'm very bad at this, but I'm learning as I'm trying my best. It's so awkward, I really and we're back. And then I was like, oh shit, I got to press freaking record. Because clearly you can tell I was working even more without recording like a donut, so I constantly working around. So I'll just leave for a minute just for you guys to enjoy the last bits, and I'll come back to talk about near the end of the video. So yeah, enjoy. And hello again, did you miss me? Probably didn't. But anyway, this is pretty much finished. So thank you for like watching throughout this entire process. And there's me doing it just to give more interest. So yeah, there's a lot I need to improve on. I was very happy when I did this painting, but at the same time that I know there's a lot to improve on. Now I look at this, improve the anatomy, colours and all that malarkey, because I'm still pretty new to the whole thing anyway, and this is me being freaking picky with the signature. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. Let me know what you think, and also have a great day, and stay creative. Okay, goodbye.